The two-sided sign is never getting set to 0. This is multiplying. What in the hell? This is literally hooking in the color 0 to the base color. Obviously it's not. What the fuck? This is a very, very interesting thing. Alright, so that's supposedly that. So the base color should be black when none of this stuff is working. None of these pieces of information appears to actually be accurate. Like the vertex normal world space is not accurate. The two-sided sign is not accurate. Okay, now it's accurate. Okay, wow, what? Okay, that's what it should be. The base color should be the normal map. Okay, so two-sided sign is actually working. Yeah. What a pain. Oh my god, okay, so it's the two-sided sign is either 0 or it's either 0 or -1. There is no 1. So this if statement here, I had like this plugged into like if it's greater than or equal to 0. No, I guess I'm wrong again. So why the hell wasn't this working before? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Okay, see now this, I just went and saved it. And then all of a sudden... Yeah, this is the crap that I'm talking about. I'll change the material and then it won't actually change in the game. This is what's been causing me so many damn problems. Because this is if I tag this thing back and apply it. So it's really that if it equals 0 or if it equals, or if it's less than 0. So it should be just this sort of thing. God, what a train wreck, right? Yeah, both those should be blue. And then these should be... Is it a complete opposite? No, it's not a complete opposite. It's just 1.0. Like both of these should be blue down here. And this should be not inverted. Alright, this is looking correct. Like, I know that it's inverted. From what it should be, but we can actually work with that. So this is going to be unmodified. So let's see. Yeah, so the -1 should be a 1 here. And what we want to do is we want to... It looks like we want this texture... the texture to be inverted? Alright, so it's... we definitely want this texture, so we want like a multiply. We want to multiply it by a constant -1. No, it's not. It's not a constant -1. It's a different constant. Something else is messed up. Whoops, that's not correct. It's not the X. Is it the Y? Doesn't look like it. Well, I wonder why these normals are just... they appear to be flipped in the textures. Like, is there something wrong with the texture? Alright, so the textures are wrong. The textures are wrong. They should be flipped in the green. Well, Jesus Christ. What a... Okay, so that's another thing that's just... Man, what a train wreck. So that's what we have to do for all of this sort of garbage is there's a whole lot of stuff. Gosh, alright. I've actually started to make progress. As opposed to just be frustrated, let's now be frustrated and learn things. So, basically what we learned was the two-sided sign stuff does work. Be careful when applying materials in Unreal 4 because just because you saved doesn't mean the shader compiled and is actually applied to what you're looking at. Also, don't trust your normals to always be a correct texture. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and save all this. We're going to exit out. When we create the textures for the normals, I'm going to need to take a look at the invert. Let's go look at our UTexture 2Ds. What was the name of this property on the texture? Because I don't see it inside the documentation. It's like we need to negate the green channel. And is it some sort of import? Is it some kind of import setting or? It's flip green channel. All right. Well, when all else fails in documentation is it's showing you what you want to see. This is literally the only place where it's put here? Here it is. Alright, what the hell? Alright, flip green channel is part of a texture. It's part of the F-texture platform data. Well, I guess what I could do is, this should be RGBA. Maybe I can just do it right in here, like if is normals, then float green multiplier equals 1.0f. I can just say green multiplier equals negative 1.0f. And I can do the same thing inside of the Dashkin texture tool. Therefore, I don't have to mess around with the problem is there is cooked texture settings stuff, and it's not like I can just say flip green channel to true. It's part of like some cooking with the texture itself. So unlike other texture settings, I can't just change it easily. So let's see if this does what we want it to do. Alright, getting closer to actual success. We've done a lot of good stuff today. We got the Harmony import pipeline working properly with like a whole bunch of new crazy fun things. So stuff's working. Just getting there pretty slowly and taking a roundabout way where we're, instead of actually getting stuff done properly, because we know what we're doing, it's like, well, we don't know what we're doing, so we're not getting anything done properly. We're just getting work done and slowly assimilating knowledge about how much we don't know, which is quite a bit. In fact, I would argue it's more than what we do know. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to re-import this thing. So we're going to, flipping the green channel is off on this texture. In fact, I'm just going to delete this texture and execute the import here. That doesn't look right. Do we need to flip more than just the green channel? Maybe the green multiplier thing is a... Is it instead of... Is it flip or is it an invert? Like it might be like 1.0 minus or something. Let's just see what it looks like. Is there create texture 2D? Is there anything else that we can actually throw on here? Like this create texture 2D, maybe it has like flip green or something? Because it looked like it was doing a little bit more than just inverting the green. It looked like it was inverting also the blue or something like that. Maybe it's just the entire thing needs to be flipped. Is the constructor for F color screwed up? The constructor can take uints. Oh, okay, so it's probably that our... It's taking uint, so the green equals uncompressed data there. So if is normals, green equals what, 255 minus green? So we can maybe just do it like that, because it's not inverting it. Maybe that's what we have to do. I was like, that doesn't look right. That whole like green smashed space doesn't look right. I should probably take a break at some point here. I'm getting hungry, which means that like I make bad decisions because I'm hungry. And we're slowly like actually getting our materials set up properly and all this other crap. What a concept. You know, setting up the proper materials for your 2D objects in a 3D world. So let's re-import this thing. Alright, that was exactly what we needed to do. So now we've got our fat sack dude properly flipping over his axis and doing what he's supposed to. Oh man, what a What a process to get to that point, right? So we're going to have to figure out what we're doing next here. The next thing is to get this emissive sheet working properly on this material. So let's go to our masklit sprite material and let's go to our emissive texture, which should be grabbing this. And if we take our 0 width texture and material here, if we look at our fat sack dig textures, we would expect that basically nothing would be mapped up there. So we'd expect to not see any emissive light coming off of these critters. So what we need to do is we want to test this out before we mess with it too much. So inside of this sprite, we do not have an emissive texture in our texture slot art. So that's something we need to add back to our character import tool. Where did we do that? Is it in the update sprite information? Yeah, it's right here. So let's start setting it. We're going to need a second set of UV coordinates specifically for the emissive texture, and I'm not sure exactly how to do that. Like, we've got all these sprite collision data things. We've got our pivot and our params for our animation frame data. F sprite asset initial params. We're gonna have to see if we can get like some additional UV coordinates. So let's import this guy. If we take a look at his sprites, we've got these masklit sprite. If we save this and open it back up, then it'll actually have the names. Those will be the emissives. So what we need are the source dimensions and source UVs. Source UV, source dimensions. So we need like additional UVs as a map. So let's see where the source UVs on this sprite data is used. So it's probably going to be within the paper sprite component. So let's take a look at the paper sprite. So we've got the source UV, and we've got the source dimensions, and then we have this baked source UV. So let's see if there's any baked in here. So baked texture, additional textures are in here. So we have a UPaper sprite. Okay, so the UPaper sprite actually has this thing. So it's papersprite.cpp. We've got like the source UV. So do we have like the baked UVs? Like, I don't see these ever actually being used. Build from sprite. Draw call. It's this draw call record, maybe? Destination baked textures, additional textures, color, render verts. Is there like a sprite draw call .cpp? There is no .cpp for it. There's a build from Sprite. Oh, come on. It's in papersprite.cpp. Okay, so they made a sprite draw call, but not this other one. So the render verts are here. Get additional source textures, get baked texture. Additional sprite texture array. In Q, render command, so fpapersprite component dynamic data. Draw call record, in sprite descend, draw call. Papersprite scene proxy. Set sprite render spread thread. So is it this sprite draw call record is the information, but the papersprite scene proxy? So papersprite scene proxy.cpp. This should be where we actually this is a paper render scene proxy, which we get our render mesh elements. Let's see. This looks like papersprite scene proxy is the thing that actually appends things to be drawn. We have a draw call record here that we have. So where do we actually draw stuff? I mean, we've got this vertex buffer. What is this vertex buffer? Group sprite scene proxy. We got paper sprite scene proxy. I think we want paper render scene proxy. Yeah, there's our frickin' normal Z, which is screwing everything up probably. Alright, so we have texture coordinates. This debug draw, get mesh elements, draw collision, draw debug collision, render bounds, dynamic mesh elements. View, get new batch meshes, wireframes. So let's see, texture override, we have these additional textures thing. See if this gets called. Because we got like get texture value by parameter name. Let's see. Sprite additional texture 0. Alright, so this is where we get our texture values. But do we have like get vector value? This is selection color. Material render proxy interface. All right. Well, there is a question with these emissive maps. Like, we can use a smaller texture for them. It's the same geometry, though. Basically, the UV coordinates are going to be different for these things. Like, the UV coordinates need to be like 0, 0, except for... Like, we need actual geometry for this in the emissive layer. Otherwise, how are we going to draw from left to right? Well, I'm going to need to think about this, but I'm going to take a break and get some food and all that, and then I'll be back. Because I am absolutely starving at this point. Yeah, I've gone way too long without taking an actual break or eating something. So I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with these emissive maps. And I'm having trouble with like the separate UVs or something like that. We need to export them in the same location as the other sprites. Otherwise, we're pretty much screwed, I think. We need an emissive mask, and it needs to be black for it to work properly. At least as far as I'm seeing. So cool. I'll be back after a short break, and it's gonna be, I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes or something. So I'm gonna turn the stream off, and I will see you guys later.